For 3 centuries, his name has been synonymous with buried treasure, a symbol of the golden age of pirates and the untold fortunes they left behind. But the real story of Captain William Kidd is not one of gold and jewels, but of a mystery that has echoed through time, a puzzle where the man himself is the greatest enigma. This is not just a treasure hunt, it is a journey into the heart of a legend, to unearth the truth buried deeper than any pirate's chest. Welcome to Echoes of Time. Our story begins not on a blood-soaked deck, but in the halls of power in London. In 1696, William Kidd was no rogue pirate. He was a respected sea captain, a privateer commissioned by King William III himself for a vital mission: to hunt the very pirates that plagued the trade routes in the East Indies. Armed with a letter of marque, a government license to capture enemy vessels, Captain Kidd set sail from England aboard the formidable galley, the Adventure Galley. He was an instrument of the law, a guardian of commerce, backed by some of the wealthiest and most powerful lords in the kingdom. His task was clear, his authority absolute. Yet somewhere on the vast, unforgiving expanse of the Indian Ocean, the lines began to blur. The hunter, it was said, became the hunted. Reports, distorted by distance and time, began to trickle back to London. Whispers of Captain Kidd turning rogue, of him attacking neutral ships, of him embracing the very life he was sent to extinguish. The privateer was being branded a pirate. The complex reality of his voyage, which likely involved desperate decisions made under extreme pressure, was flattened into a simple, damning narrative. When he finally returned to the American colonies, he was no longer a celebrated captain, but a wanted man. He was arrested in Boston, shipped back to England in chains, and put on trial. Despite his protestations of innocence and his claims that he could prove his loyalty, he was found guilty. On May 23, 1701, Captain William Kidd was hanged, his body left to rot in a gibbet over the River Thames as a grim warning to all other pirates. But his death was not the end of his story. It was the beginning of his legend. For with his execution, the enigma of his treasure was born. A vast fortune, supposedly amassed during his time in the East, was now unaccounted for. Before his capture, Kidd had offloaded a small portion of his wealth on Gardiner's Island, near Long Island, New York. This cash was recovered by the authorities and used as evidence against him. But this recovered treasure, while substantial, was believed to be merely a fraction of his total haul. The rest, folklore insisted, was still out there, buried in secret locations stretching from the Caribbean to the wild shores of Madagascar. Cryptic maps, deathbed confessions, and whispers carried on the salt-stained wind have fueled a treasure hunt that has spanned generations. Explorers and dreamers have scoured remote islands, dived into forgotten coves, and chased shadows, all hoping to unearth the lost hoard of Captain Kidd. Yet these relentless pursuits have yielded almost nothing, deepening the legend and leaving us with a fundamental question: what truly became of Captain Kidd's fabled treasure? Over the centuries, scholars and historians have pieced together the archival evidence, attempting to separate historical fact from fantastical fiction. From these investigations, 3 prevailing theories have emerged, each offering a different lens through which to view the mystery. The first, and perhaps most pragmatic theory, suggests that the legendary treasure, in the mythical quantities often portrayed, simply never existed. According to this view, the vast bulk of Kidd's wealth was confiscated upon his capture, including the portion recovered from Gardiner's Island. The narrative of a much larger, hidden hoard may have been a convenient fiction, amplified by the authorities to justify the controversial execution of a man who was, by some accounts, a scapegoat. By painting him as a pirate king with an immeasurable fortune, they transformed a complex legal case into a simple morality play, cementing his guilt in the public imagination and warning others against crossing the crown. This theory strips away the romance, suggesting the greatest treasure was the story itself, a tool of statecraft. The inventories from his trial list silks, sugar, and a respectable amount of gold and silver, but nothing approaching the mountains of gold spoken of in legend. Proponents of this theory argue that the enduring myth is a testament not to hidden riches, but to the power of a good story, one that served the political needs of its time and has captivated the public ever since. The real treasure in this scenario was the propaganda value of Kidd's conviction, and the actual gold was secondary. It's a sobering thought, suggesting that the hunt for Kidd's gold is the chase of a ghost, a phantom fortune conjured to serve an agenda 300 years ago. A second, more intriguing perspective posits that Captain Kidd did indeed bury a significant treasure, but not to hide it forever. This theory casts Kidd not as a greedy pirate, but as a calculated strategist fighting for his life. Caught in a political storm and facing accusations of piracy, Kidd, the reluctant pirate, may have seen his treasure as his only way out. By strategically burying his loot in known yet secret locations, he could have been creating the ultimate bargaining chip. The plan was simple. He would use the location of the treasure as leverage for a full pardon, proving his value to the crown one last time. He could trade his fortune for his freedom and his good name. He sailed to Boston not to hide, but to negotiate, believing his powerful backers in London would protect him. This theory reframes the entire legend. The buried treasure was not a retirement fund, it was an insurance policy. It was a move made not from greed, but from desperation. We see a man caught between the law he was meant to uphold and the lawless world he was forced to navigate. If this is true, then his story becomes a tragedy of miscalculation. The political winds in London had shifted. His powerful patrons, fearing their own association with a now infamous pirate, abandoned him. His leverage was worthless, his gambit failed, and the secret locations of his treasure died with him on the gallows. The caches he created as temporary holding spots for a political negotiation became, by accident of fate, the permanent lost treasure that would fuel his legend. His last desperate act to save himself inadvertently created his immortality. Then there is the third, most romantic, and most enduring hypothesis. This is the theory that gives life to the treasure maps and whispers in seaside taverns. It is the belief that significant portions of Captain Kidd's fortune do remain undiscovered, hidden in ingenious caches across the globe, awaiting a lucky or brilliant explorer. This idea is supported by a tapestry of vague historical accounts, persistent local legends, and the sheer fact that the vastness of the world in the 17th century offered limitless hiding places. From the rocky coasts of New England to the tropical paradise of Madagascar, an island that served as a known pirate haven, stories of Kidd's buried gold persist with uncanny resilience. These legends often contain specific, tantalizing details. A chest buried beneath a particular rock formation, a fortune sunk in a shallow bay, or a map passed down through a family for generations. While professional historians often dismiss these as folklore, the sheer volume and persistence of the tales are remarkable. Could some of them be echoes of a distant truth? This theory suggests that the portion of treasure recovered from Gardiner's Island was exactly what Kidd intended it to be, a gesture of good faith, a down payment for his negotiations, while the lion's share remained concealed. Perhaps he distributed his wealth across multiple locations, a prudent measure for any pirate or privateer. If one cache was found, the others would remain safe. This is the theory that keeps the hunt alive, that fuels the imagination, and that holds out the possibility that a piece of the golden age of piracy is still out there, waiting to be brought into the light. Modern attempts to solve this mystery have moved from the realm of treasure hunters with shovels to that of historians and archaeologists with ground-penetrating radar and digital archives. Researchers meticulously re-examine the records of Kidd's trial, his letters, and the shipping logs of the era. They scrutinize every word for a hidden clue, a forgotten place name, a forgotten detail. Archaeologists have investigated sites associated with Kidd, like the ruins of his settlement on Madagascar, searching for physical evidence. Yet the challenge remains immense. Centuries of silence have obscured the trail. Maps are often forgeries created long after Kidd's death, and oral traditions become distorted with each telling. The line between what Kidd actually did and what he was said to have done has become almost impossible to draw. The search for Captain Kidd's treasure has become a search for the man himself. Was he a hardened criminal who got what he deserved? A loyal privateer betrayed by his political masters? Or a pragmatic survivor whose final desperate plan went horribly wrong? The historical record is ambiguous, allowing all of these interpretations to coexist. He remains a figure of profound contradiction, and the treasure is the ultimate symbol of that unresolved legacy. Its elusiveness mirrors our own inability to truly grasp the character of the man at the center of it all. Every dead end, every false lead, every debunked map only adds another layer to the myth. The failure to find the gold has, paradoxically, made the legend stronger. So, after 300 years of searching, we are left where we began, standing before a locked chest with no key. The physical treasure of Captain William Kidd may or may not exist. It may have been a convenient lie, a tragic miscalculation, or it may still be waiting under a lonely stretch of sand. But as we sift through the archives and sail in the wake of his story, we realize the chase has yielded its own kind of reward. It has taught us about politics and power in the colonial era, about the thin line between law and crime on the high seas, and about our own enduring fascination with the secrets the past refuses to give up. The story of Captain Kidd is more than a pirate tale. It is an echo of a forgotten time, a historical mystery that continues to challenge everything we think we know. Perhaps his true legacy was never meant to be found in a chest of gold. Could it be that the real treasure he left behind is the enduring mystery itself?